You were taught that truth wins arguments, that honesty earns respect, that if you are right, people will eventually see it. But if that were true, why do the loudest, calmest, and most strategic voices always win, even when they are wrong? Today, I'll show you the uncomfortable psychology behind winning arguments, not by truth, but by control. Society teaches you a comforting lie. If your logic is strong enough, people will surrender to it. You were trained to believe arguments are battles of facts, evidence, and intelligence. That belief feels noble, but it is also why you keep losing. Humans do not submit to truth. They submit to authority, confidence, and perceived status. This is not corruption. This is psychology. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He wrote that people are ruled by appearances more than reality. In arguments, appearance is everything. The calm voice, the unshaken posture, the person who seems unmoved by resistance automatically rises above the one who tries to prove, explain, or defend. The moment you argue to be understood, you lower your position. The moment you argue to remain composed, you raise it. Here is the strategic truth. Arguments are not about being right. They are about who controls the emotional frame. Whoever controls the frame controls the outcome. When you rush to correct someone, you signal insecurity. When you over-explain, you reveal need. But when you pause, when you speak slowly, when you allow silence to do the heavy lifting, people lean toward you. Their nervous system reads you as dominant, even if your words are fewer. Think about the last argument you lost. Ask yourself honestly, were you trying to win, or were you trying to be validated? Most people confuse the two. Validation seeking is loud, defensive, emotional. Power is quiet, patient, and selective. Power does not chase agreement. It assumes it. Here is how you apply this immediately. The next time someone challenges you, do not respond instantly. Pause, breathe, let them finish, then respond with certainty, not detail. Speak in conclusions, not explanations. Short sentences, calm tone, no rush. You are not there to convince. You are there to position yourself. Say this affirmation out loud, even if it feels uncomfortable. I do not need to prove truth. I project certainty. You were taught that truth wins arguments, that honesty earns respect, that if you are right, people will eventually see it. But if that were true, why do the loudest, calmest, and most strategic voices always win, even when they are wrong? Today, I'll show you the uncomfortable psychology behind winning arguments, not by truth, but by control. Society praises passion. It tells you that strong emotions mean strong conviction, that if you care deeply, you should show it. But in arguments, emotion is not strength. Emotion is leakage. The moment your voice tightens, your face reacts, or your words speed up, you hand power to the other person. They may not know why they feel it, but they sense it instantly. And once they sense it, the dynamic shifts against you. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Humans trust the calm, not the correct. In social psychology, emotional control is read as dominance. A regulated nervous system signals safety, authority, and leadership. An unregulated one signals threat or weakness. This is why judges, leaders, and strategists are trained to stay neutral under pressure. Not because they lack feelings, but because they understand the optics of control. Machiavelli warned that showing emotional investment makes you predictable. When someone knows what triggers you, they can steer you. Every emotional reaction becomes a lever they can pull. This is why skilled manipulators provoke anger on purpose. They are not trying to win logically. They are trying to destabilize you so you sabotage yourself. Think about debates you have watched. The crowd almost always sides with the person who remains composed, even if their argument is thin. Why? Because emotional control creates the illusion of confidence, and confidence creates belief. Belief beats facts every time in the human mind. Here is the strategic shift you must make. When you feel emotion rising, do not suppress it. Redirect it inward. Slow your breathing. Lower your voice instead of raising it. Shorten your sentences. The calmer you become, the more unbalanced the other person feels. Their mind starts racing, wondering why you are unaffected. That confusion weakens them. A powerful tactic is deliberate softness. Respond gently when attacked aggressively. It disrupts expectations. The other person prepared for resistance, not stillness. Stillness makes people uncomfortable. Discomfort makes mistakes appear. Let them make those mistakes. Do not interrupt. Let them talk themselves into exposure. Use this practical rule. Never argue at the peak of emotion. If necessary, delay. Say, let's come back to this. That single sentence preserves your authority and denies them the emotional victory they want. Say this affirmation slowly. My calm is my advantage. Most people believe arguments are about opinions. That is the lie. Arguments are about frames. A frame is the invisible structure that defines what matters, what is allowed, and what is ignored. Whoever sets the frame decides the battlefield before the fight even begins. If you argue inside someone else's frame, you have already lost, even if your logic is flawless. Society trains you to respond, to answer questions directly, to defend accusations as they are presented. But this obedience is subtle submission. Skilled strategists never accept the frame given to them. They reshape it. They redefine the terms. They change what the argument is actually about. This is why powerful figures seem untouchable in debates. They are never fighting where you think they are. Machiavelli advised rulers to control perception before action. In conversation, perception is the frame. If someone says, "Why did you fail?" and you answer that question, you accept failure as a fact. But if you respond with failure compared to what standard, you shift the ground instantly. Now they are explaining, not you. Power moves toward the person who asks the better questions. Here is the strategic truth. The one who defines the problem controls the solution. If someone accuses you, do not defend immediately. Zoom out, reframe. Turn specifics into generalities or generalities into specifics, depending on which benefits you. This mental flexibility separates amateurs from operators. Picture an argument as a boxing ring. Most people jump in swinging. The strategist steps back and adjusts the ropes. They decide the size of the ring. They decide the rules. And then they let the other person exhaust themselves trying to fight a battle that no longer exists. Here is how you apply this. When challenged, ask clarifying questions instead of giving answers. What makes you see it that way? What outcome are you actually trying to get? These questions subtly reposition you as the evaluator, not the accused. The other person starts seeking your approval without realizing it. Another tactic is naming the dynamic. Saying calmly, "This feels more emotional than factual," instantly elevates you. You are now the observer, not the participant. Observation is power. Participation is vulnerability. Say this affirmation with intention. I choose the frame. I choose the ground. The common belief is that if you present better reasoning, people will change their minds. This belief collapses the moment you understand how identity works. Humans defend identity more fiercely than truth. When an argument threatens how someone sees themselves, their mind stops listening and starts protecting. Logic becomes the enemy. Ego becomes the shield. Social psychology confirms this again and again. The backfire effect shows that when people are confronted with facts that challenge their identity, they cling harder to their original beliefs. This is why arguments escalate instead of resolve. You are not debating ideas, you are threatening self-image, and self-image will always fight back. Machiavelli understood this instinctively. He knew that people want to feel wise, moral, and competent. The strategist never attacks that need directly. Instead, they align with it. They let the other person feel intelligent while quietly guiding the direction of the conclusion. Influence is not domination. It is invitation disguised as agreement. Here is the strategic truth. If you want to win an argument, you must let the other person believe the idea was theirs. This is not weakness. This is mastery. When someone feels seen, respected, and intelligent, their resistance drops. Their mind opens, and once the door is open, you can guide instead of push. Think about how skilled negotiators operate. They mirror language. They acknowledge emotions without endorsing conclusions. They say things like, "I can see why someone in your position would feel that way." That sentence disarms identity defenses instantly. The person feels understood, not challenged. And once that happens, influence becomes possible. Here is how you apply this. Before presenting your point, validate their self-image, not their argument, but their intention. Say, "You clearly care about getting this right," or "I respect how much thought you've put into this." Then introduce your perspective gently, as an extension, not a correction. Avoid phrases that signal superiority. Avoid "you're wrong" or "that makes no sense." Those phrases trigger ego alarms. Instead, use "another way to look at this is," or "what if the real issue is." You are not tearing down identity. You are expanding it. Say this affirmation slowly and clearly. I influence by protecting identity, not attacking it. Society tells you that winning means speaking more, responding faster, and having the last word. That belief keeps people trapped in endless arguments that drain their power. The real strategic truth is the opposite. Silence is not absence. Silence is pressure. Timing is not delay. Timing is dominance. And withdrawal is not defeat. Withdrawal is control. In psychology, the person who can walk away without anxiety holds the highest position. Why? Because detachment signals abundance. It tells the other person, without words, that you do not need this interaction to survive, to feel worthy, or to feel right. That signal alone destabilizes most people. They begin to chase, and whoever chases has already lost leverage. Machiavelli advised that power is preserved by choosing battles carefully. Not every argument deserves engagement. When you argue too often, your words lose weight. When you speak selectively, your words gain gravity. Think of powerful figures in history. They were not constantly explaining themselves. Their silence created mystery. Mystery creates authority. Here is the strategic truth. The ability to disengage is one of the highest forms of conversational power. When you stop responding emotionally, stop over-explaining, and stop seeking closure, you leave the other person alone with their thoughts. And most people cannot tolerate that. They replay the conversation. They question themselves. They fill the silence with doubt. You do nothing, and yet you still influence. This is why timing matters. Responding immediately often comes from impulse, not intention. Delayed responses signal self-control. They force the other person to wait inside uncertainty. Waiting shifts the balance of power. The calm strategist uses time the way others use words. Here is how you apply this rule. If an argument becomes circular, end it calmly. Say, "I've said what I needed to say," and stop. No justification, no follow-up. Let the silence stand. If someone pushes for a reaction, give less, not more. Short answers. Neutral tone. You are not stonewalling. You are conserving energy. Another tactic is strategic withdrawal. Sometimes the most powerful move is to exit entirely, not angrily, not dramatically, simply unavailable. This teaches people how to treat you. It conditions respect. Access becomes something earned, not assumed. Say this affirmation with conviction. I do not chase resolution. I choose position. Now bring everything together. Winning arguments was never about words. It was about position, status over truth, calm over emotion, frame over reaction, identity over logic, silence over noise. When you see this clearly, arguments stop feeling chaotic and start feeling predictable. You are no longer inside them. You are above them. Society trains you to be honest, reactive, and expressive. Strategy trains you to be selective, composed, and intentional. Honesty without strategy makes you exposed. Emotion without control makes you manipulable. Logic without framing makes you invisible. This is not about becoming fake. This is about becoming effective. Power is not cruelty. Power is awareness applied with discipline. Think of every argument you will face from now on as a test of self-mastery, not a test of intelligence, not a test of morality, a test of control. Can you regulate your emotions when provoked? Can you resist the urge to prove yourself? Can you pause when others rush? Every time you do, you win something deeper than the argument itself. You win authority over your own mind. Machiavelli's greatest lesson was never manipulation for its own sake. It was understanding human nature as it is, not as we wish it to be. Humans are emotional, status-driven, and identity-protective. Once you accept this without judgment, you stop fighting reality. And when you stop fighting reality, you can shape outcomes. Visualize yourself in your next disagreement. See yourself calm, grounded, speaking less but meaning more, asking questions instead of defending, letting silence work for you, walking away when needed without guilt. Feel how different that version of you moves through the world. That is not arrogance. That is alignment. Remember this: the goal is not to win every argument loudly. The goal is to never lose your position quietly. When you maintain composure, you maintain leverage. When you choose strategy, you choose freedom. Arguments stop controlling you. You start controlling the environment around you. Say this final affirmation slowly and mean it. I choose strategy over impulse. I choose control over chaos. If this video shifted how you see arguments and power, type this in the comments. I move with strategy now. Share this with someone who keeps losing battles they shouldn't. Like this video if you felt uncomfortable, because discomfort means growth. And subscribe, because this isn't about arguments anymore. It's about becoming untouchable in how you think, speak, and move through the world.